How you doing, Harrison? I appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me. Where all are we? Where are we live? YouTube, Twitch.
YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. So, and then there'll be a
Okay.
bunch of post production clips, which is more of the meat and potatoes, where the
Yeah, I
action
noticed you
comes
got a
from.
pretty good. So your is Instagram your biggest following,
Yeah,
based on
Instagram.
what I noticed?
Instagram is the biggest platform right now, and then it's Facebook, uh,
Okay.
and then TikTok, and then Threads. I don't know how I don't know where 1,000 followers on Threads comes from because when it was NFL free agency, we did our free agency marathon stream, and Twitter was
Twitter wasn't
down.
working. Yeah, I
So
had to. I hadn't. You know how apps will like undownload if you don't use them for a while? I had to re-download it and turn on noties for like Schefter and all them because we were down. So yeah, I was back. I wasn't posting anything, but I was using it for breaking news. So
no.
that's funny.
Well, I appreciate your time. I want to make sure we're as efficient as possible, but also talk about our
Oh, we're
Chicago
good. I got
Bears
time. Yeah.
and have some fun. It's in the middle of the off season here, so there's a lot to talk about. But if you want to just do a quick intro on, just to give the audience a little background on who you are, and if you're from Chicago Bears fan, all that good stuff. Some of your channels I've seen you have a couple on your bio there that you run and make some content for. If you want to give a little elevator pitch, I'd love to clip it and get you some more exposure.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm Harrison Graham. I host Bears Now by Chat Sports, part of the Chat Sports digital network. I also have a second channel I started right before last NFL season. It's called Four Verts. It's more like NFL and college football, more broad channel. Bears Now, obviously Bears focused. Um, been in the Bears YouTube game, I guess, for about 5 years now. And this other channel, like I said, launched in July. So enjoyed it, having fun. Bears, never a dull moment. That's for sure. And I think for the first time in a while, maybe just maybe the optimism is somewhat warranted. So hopefully Ben Johnson takes us to the promised land.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, and I feel like it's a never-ending cycle of us Bears fans having optimism and hope and drinking the Kool-Aid all off season long, and then get our hearts broken in disappointment at the end of the season. But that kind of brings me to my first question for you: is how are you feeling at the end of this past 2024 season? Not to kind of beat a dead horse, and then how has that changed throughout the course of us going for hiring our head coach and then the free agency period? Like, are you feeling a little bit more optimistic? How do you feel about the Ben Johnson hire and some of the free agents that we picked up?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to start with the end of last season, when you lose 10 games in a row, um, and you fire a coach midseason, normally you'd think, well, what's an 11th straight, right? Let's just get the season over with. I do think there was value in that win over Green Bay. How much that's hard to say, but they hadn't beaten them in 6 years. You have a rookie quarterback. Just to go into the offseason with a positive note, I think matters at least somewhat. So that gave them a little positive energy, momentum into the offseason. Obviously, getting Johnson is huge. Whether it works or not, just the fact that they're investing in someone who's viewed as a potential big-time coach. They're paying him $13 million per year. Eberflus was making $6 million. You certainly can't accuse them of being cheap this time around. That was big. And then, Ryan Poles said something at the combine that caught my attention at the time, and I think it's played out. I can't really. I'm paraphrasing here what he said, but he said something along the lines of, "When you have a clear vision, you can be more aggressive." And I think the vision was you got to load up in the trenches, especially on the offensive line. So I'm glad he and Ben Johnson kind of recognized that. And you kind of saw it too. Like, Ben didn't shy away from the idea in his introductory presser of like, yeah, this line needs some work. It's not very, he didn't say it sucks or anything, but he's like, yeah, we need to be better there. It's like, okay, he could have kind of given a non-answer there, but he's kind of telling you like, yes, we're aware that group hasn't been good enough. So I'm optimistic. I think the Joe Tooney signing is huge, both from he can still play at a high level standpoint, but I think he's just the type of guy that can elevate an entire position group. So, yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm positive. Obviously, we don't have any games to go off of, so we're gonna have to wait 6 months for that. But I think there's real reasons that you can point to say, yeah, like that was good. This makes sense. If X, Y, and Z happens, this could be a good team. So I'm pretty excited. Obviously, now the focus shifts to the draft, but I think the Bears have done a good job of attacking what they needed to attack this offseason, starting with the coach and then offensive defensive line.
Yeah, you talked a couple things that I want to branch off and touch upon a little bit. And let's start with Ryan Poles. How do you feel about Ryan Poles, I guess, pre-Ben Johnson hire, and now that he's hired Ben Johnson and some of these free agencies, signings and some of these trades? Do you still have confidence in Ryan Poles? In our channel here, we give him his flowers when they're due, but we're not shy to criticize him when it's deserved. And it's been a lot of criticism this past year, and I'm not fully optimistic on him. I wasn't the biggest supporter of bringing him back. That Ben Johnson hire, in my opinion, was maybe more of a Kevin Warren effect to an extent, because it seems like things are changing there. We fired the head coach in the middle of the season, never happened. Hired this big time head coach, big time contract, never's really happened before. So do you think this is more of a Kevin Warren effect? And how do you feel about Ryan Poles going into this draft? And do you think more of a Ben Johnson, some of these decisions or influence that he had on the players that we did sign and trade for?
Well, there's a lot of angles you could take it, right? Like, I think it is obvious that Ben Johnson has heavy influence on these decisions. I think he probably got in there. They reviewed the roster together. Hey, Ryan, the O-line sucks. Let's pick some better guys. My guy Jonah Jackson, he's available. Had a weird year in LA. Let's go get him. I know how to use him. Ryan, Joe Tooney's available. Ben, what do you think? Yeah, go get him. So I think it's pretty clear that Ben is pointing out what's needed. And look, let's face it, you pay your head coach $13 million. He probably has more power in the organization right now. Now, as far as Poles, I kind of came to the conclusion at the end of the year of I just got indifferent. If they wanted to move on, move on. I'm not tied down to Ryan Poles emotionally at this point. But I wanted Ben Johnson all the way. So if Ben Johnson comes here and wants to work with Ryan, great. No problem with that. I don't want Ryan Poles to impact your ability to get Ben Johnson. Clearly it did not. So I'm cool with him being here. I think there's been some hits. I think there's been a lot of misses. So I'm kind of with you. Toward the end of the season, I was I'm kind of out on this guy. But if you get Ben Johnson, he wants to work with him, I'm fine with it. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the jury's still out. I do think he's probably learned from some mistakes. He's only 38, 39 years old, still a young executive. But I do think it's clear that Ben Johnson has input on roster decisions, and B, he should. Because the way it was going before, it was too spotty and too, you don't want to use the word cheap, but polls, especially in free agency, seem to oh yeah, I'm gonna try to be the smart guy in the room and find the best value signing. It's it's okay to just spend money on somebody, right? You don't want to be reckless, but I think this offseason, yeah, they threw some money out. They probably overpaid a couple of guys, but no one they brought in, and none of the contracts are so egregious where you're if it doesn't work, it's going to bury you. I just checked. Next year, they still have $65, $70 million in projected cap space. They are still flexible moving forward. So long-winded way of saying, let's see this play out a little bit longer. I have more faith in Ben Johnson than I do Ryan Poles, but he's willing to work with Ryan. And, if he's willing to work with him, I'm fine with him being here. I'm kind of indifferent at this point in time.
Yeah, I think he's had more misses than hits, in my opinion, specifically in the draft. I don't think he's that well at drafting. So I'm really hoping Ben Johnson does have that influence like you're talking about, at least with the staff that he's brought in. He's brought a lot of former players and a lot of people from Detroit, and just a lot of people that actually have played the game and can give their perspectives on these young players, and maybe help with the scouting part of things.
Yeah, my biggest problem with Poles too is to me it was pretty obvious Eberflus should have been gone after 2 years. I know that's a quick trigger, but it's there are clear signs here that he is not head coach material. Late in these games, he folds, he gets passive. We saw that in 2023 multiple times. They blew 3 crazy games. they lost 3 games in one season that you lose maybe once in 3 seasons, right? Like the Broncos collapsed, the Browns game, and I can't remember what the other one was.
Detroit. Are you talking about with
Yes, Detroit as well. Yeah, I'm saying like that. After that season, it was like, okay, it is clear that Eberflus is not qualified. Like he's just not good enough. You should have pivoted. Now you get Johnson a year later, so maybe it's one of those where it just worked out. But at the same time, to me, it's like if Poles had the power to fire him then, that should have been done. That was my biggest issue with Poles as last season played out. Like, you're going to have some hits, you're going to have some misses as GM. I agree. There's probably been a couple more misses than hits, but to be loyal to this coach for this long when he's proving to you over and over again that he can't win these games that should be won, that like that's an indictment on your judgment as the GM. So that was my big issue with him as well.
And not even just kind of the end of that season, but when you get that report that came out a couple weeks ago when all the players grade their facilities and the head coaches and the Bears are last in the NFL because of Eberflus, it's like, come on, man. Like if he's the one that had the discretion and he had the power to, if he could have fired Eberflus, then that's completely on him. I know there's some speculation and theories that the higher ups wouldn't let him do that, and because of the McCaskies and whatnot. And I think Kevin Warren has really had an influence on George, and hey, we need to pay the big check for the big coach and hit that.
I agree.
Try to hit that home run. Let's talk about the free agency a little bit. I had one person on my wish list, and that was center Drew Dalman. The fact that we have never addressed the center position, and God knows how long, especially in the Ryan Poles tenure, especially with the rookie quarterback, this position should have been addressed last year, not with these Dollar General plug and play Coleman Shelton, Lucas Patrick's of the world, all due respect to them. But the fact that we got Drew Dalman makes me very excited that we went out and got those types of players. And I feel like, there's a lot of influence, like you mentioned, from Ben Johnson and helping select some of these players and making sure we solidify that offensive line, because during the Combine week on Radio Row, he mentioned that the biggest weakness on this team is the offensive line. So the fact that we went and addressed that, I love the Drew Dalman signing. But what is your kind of overall thoughts on some of the players that we signed? We got Garrett from the Falcons, and we traded for Joe Thuney, like we talked about already. But just overall thoughts on free agency in terms of positions that they kind of went after.
Yeah, again, I think it's they had a plan and they attacked it, and they attacked it hard. And I think the fact that they were able to get their 2 guards before free agency even started, I do want to give Poles some credit there. Again, if you pie charted it, it's hard to say, but who gets what percentage of the pie. But I think the Bears recognized that the guard free agent market was going to be robust for players that probably don't deserve it. Like Aaron Banks getting $77 million, like that's reckless to me. And I'm not even trying to pick on Green Bay. It's just like he's an average to above average guard, and you just gave him $20 million a year. I think they probably saw that coming, and they said, "Oh, Jonah Jackson, I know last year was weird, but it's less money, even if it is still a decent amount. He's worked with our coach before. Let's go get him." Joe Thuney is available. I get he's 32, but like he's making $16 million this year. Even if you give him $20 million per year for 2 more years, I'd much rather do that than go give Will Fries $85 million. So I think that was huge to get those 2 guys in, especially Thuney. Just again, I think what he's going to bring to that O-line room on and off the field, I think is massive. And I'm with you on Dalman. I started to get nervous. I thought that price tag was going to enter Creed Humphrey money. I was like, man, like he's a good player, but $18-20 million to get him at 14 a year, and it's basically a 2+1. Like worst case, it doesn't work out. You're only stuck with the contract for 2 years. So I think that was a fair number. That was a free agency overpay, which you always are going to do, but it wasn't an egregious overpay. Like he's probably worth 11-12 million bucks. You give him 14. That's the cost of business in free agency. So I think that was big. You reset your interior within 30 minutes of free agency, your interior set. And then, Grady Jarrett kind of falls into your lap, right? He frees up and, he's probably a little past his prime, but I think he could have the Joe Thuney effect of the D-line group where, yeah, maybe he's not at the peak of his powers, but he's still a productive player. He can be disruptive as an interior pass rusher, and he can be a tone setter. this is how you be a pro. Hey, Austin Booker, come follow me. This is how I attack every single day. Like, I think there's so much value in that. They haven't had those guys. Like, the only guy they've sort of had that is Mercedes Lewis, but he doesn't even play that much, and he's not that good of a player anymore. It's one thing when you've been around a while and you can still play. Like, Joe Tooney and Grady Jarrett can still play, and they can lead. So I really like what they've done on paper. Again, that's all it is right now. Yeah. But I guess the riskiest move is the Adengbo move, but like, it's a 25-year-old who, textbook Dennis Allen defensive end. Like, I don't mind taking that swing. And again, it's kind of a 2+1. If after 2 years he's not giving you the production you want, you can pivot. So I think they've done well, and we'll see where it goes from here. They've kind of entered now they're in the bargain bin hunting, which is what you do after you get your big names. And clearly, I would think their focus is primarily on the draft at this point.
Speaking of the draft, I mean, there's a lot of speculation because they filled in some holes of their weaker spots on their team, that the trenches, the offense and defensive line, getting Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, Joe Tooney, and then Garrett and Dio from the Colts. People are saying, Ashton Genty, the tight end from Penn State. Where do you think they will go with their 10th overall pick, and where would you like them to go with the 10th overall pick?
Genty, I mean, is getting a lot of attention right now. And look, I'm one of those people, like, I would like that pick. I'm not like Genty or bust. I'm not that far, but I've come around to the idea with how they've attacked the offensive line. Like, I would be excited about that pick. I do think there's a decent chance the Raiders take him at 6, so he may not even be there. But if he's there, I'd be cool. I know even more polarizing is Tyler Warren. I think he's a star. And to me, I would rather take a guy who I think is a better prospect by at least somewhat of a wide margin than just be like, well, we could use another pass rusher. Like, I saw Kuiper mocked Michael Williams to the Bears at 10. Like, there's just better players. If you want to trade down and take Michael Williams and get more capital, cool. Like, I like him. He's a developmental guy that's got trades. So I'm not against it. But to me, like, if you take him at 10 over Tyler Warren, just because it's a bigger need, like, have you seen the tight end room the last few years? Komet's having to do everything. Like,
when he gets involved.
Yeah, when they even involve him, like, they basically just use him as a blocker last year. So, like, and by the way, he's been in the league 6 years now. Like, is he going to play for another 8 years? Probably not. And Ben Johnson ran the third most 12 personnel, 2 tight end set groupings of any offense in the NFL last year. Like, you don't think adding Tyler Warren, like 12 personnel sets of DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Tyler Warren, and Cole Kmet would put some fear into defenses? Because I do. So to me, I think they're in a position where they can just follow their board. Hey, this is the best player available. Let's just take that guy. Because to me, when you start reaching for need, you get into trouble. And I think what they did in free agency is how most teams should operate. Plug holes in free agency without being too reckless, and then be flexible come the draft. If they want to take another offensive lineman, take another offensive lineman. If they like a pass rusher, cool. But if there's a better player available at a different position, like Ashton Genty, who I think is one of the 5 or 6 best players in the draft, to me, if you get the 5th best player in the draft at 10 overall, almost regardless of position, you should be happy with that result. So I'm all about going BPA here. Obviously, I don't know what their board is, but we'll see how it plays out. I do think the Genty stuff is real, though. I mean, when we found out at the Combine that they already had a top 30 visit schedule with them, that's pretty serious. Like, those typically don't leak out until the weeks after the Combine. So I definitely think they're very interested.
Yeah, I a lot of valid points there. For me, I like the moves we did in free agency with addressing the offense and defensive line, but I still believe we need to get younger in those trenches and have some more youth there. So if there is a best player available, like you mentioned, whether that's the 10th pick or we do have 3 or 4 picks in the top 60 or 70,
39, 41, and 72 as well.
Yeah, so we have some options there, and sometimes when I think about the Genty pick, I'm like, ooh, that would be nice. Or when I think about the Warren pick, I'm like, ooh, that would be nice. But then I try to come back to reality a little bit. And if there is someone like a Mason Graham there, or like
if Mason Graham falls to 10, sprint to the podium.
Right.
I just don't think that's going to happen. But I think there might be a slight chance. If he's there, I'd take him over any of the guys.
Well, who's that quarterback Dart from? Is it Ole Miss or
Jackson Dart?
Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're rooting for Mason Graham to slide, get Dart in the top 9. I mean, that's what you need to be rooting for, because I just when you play the scenarios out, it's even if some teams are slightly like dip on Graham a little bit, like what does that mean? He falls from 5 to 7 or 8. Like it's still the path to 10 is pretty far. But yeah, if he gets to 10, I mean, forget the other guys. Like I think he's that good.
So yeah, I mean, I would love us to get a little bit younger in those trenches and kind of maybe keep an eye out for a left tackle. You know, if Will Campbell falls a little bit, I would not be opposed to replacing Braxton Jones. I think he's had a couple of injuries over the course of the last couple seasons. And I think he's probably the biggest weakness on this offensive line right now. Maybe that in the right guard. So trying to get younger in those positions and also the defensive line, getting another pass rusher. I like what they did in the attempt in the process of, filling in those needs, but I think we still need to get younger there, especially with Jarrett being on the older side and Billings, coming off a pretty serious injury. Definitely think we need to add some more youth on that defensive line.
Yeah, I do want to be clear. I don't think they're done in the trenches or should be done. I just don't think they have to pigeonhole themselves at 10 to take a trenches player. If they want to, they absolutely can, and that would be fine. But I do think there's guys in that second round range where they have 2 picks where they can get guys who are future starters, maybe even day 1 starters. I think flexibility is the word. They can be flexible in the draft. They don't have to force the issue come draft time. I am curious to see what their evaluation of Will Campbell is, because historically under polls, and I'll say this, if they draft Will Campbell and they say he's a tackle, I think that would be the ultimate proof that Ben Johnson has heavy say, because Ryan Poles has been pretty strict with the arm length stuff when it comes to tackles. Like Karan Amagaji was built in a lab. He's got 35-inch arms. Like he's like, that's a tackle. Like that's a Ryan Poles tackle, someone with those measurables. Will Campbell's under 33 inches and his wingspan is short too. It's not just the arm length. So, you'd be talking about a bit of an outlier in general, but especially for a Poles-led regime, if they took Campbell to play tackle. Now, they might take him and say he's a future guard for us, which I think he'd be a great guard, but that would be telling, because I think if Will Campbell was in the draft last year, there's no chance they take him to be a tackle, but maybe Ben Johnson views him as a tackle, and that would be kind of the ultimate proof to me that, hey, like Ben Johnson's say and word really carries a lot of weight if they take him to play tackle.
And I wouldn't be opposed of Ben Johnson taking
control
of the draft room, because the way Ryan Poles has been drafting and his discretion has not been the greatest. So if he's just the one sending in the card and Ben Johnson saying, hey, draft A, B, or C, I'm all for that. And what are your thoughts on, the Bears, trading back? Obviously it's all hypothetical depending on who's on the board, but, there's a lot of people saying, hey, let's trade back, acquire a couple picks. It's a deep running back draft class, or trading up. Let's say Mason Graham's at the 8th pick, trading up and leveraging some of our maybe second round picks that we have from that Panthers trade to go and grab someone like Mason Graham. What are your thoughts on the trading side of things with that 10th overall pick? As it's not like a, I guess, deep draft, as talented draft class as, the previous year.
What a lot of draft pundits and experts would say is that once you get beyond the true first round grade guys, which that's like 12 to 13 guys is kind of like the consensus in this draft. It's a lower number. The common theme you keep hearing is you can get the same caliber of player or similar at 20 as you could get at 45, which I think in this draft is good for the Bears because they have those 2 picks in the second round. So I do think if I had to guess, trading back would be more likely. But again, you'd have to find someone like who's trading up to 10. Like if these teams feel like there's none of those true blue chippers left. Well, who's trading up with you? Now, I don't know if Shador Sanders slides or something and he's sitting there at 10, maybe a team calls. If Ashton Genty is sitting there and the Bears decide they don't want to take him at 10, maybe Denver at 20 calls and say, hey, we really want Genty. We'll give you our first next year or something like that. So definitely open to it. As far as trading up goes, I wouldn't mind a small trade up to like what you're saying, like to 8 for Mason Graham or something like that. If Abdul Carter got to like 6 somehow, I'd be interested at that point. I don't think there's any scenario where I'd trade into the top 5. I just think it would cost too much that I'm comfortable with. But there's a couple unlikely but potential scenarios I would consider trading up. But if I were going to trade, I'd rather trade back. Like, let's say they really want a pass rusher, but they, like me, they don't love the guys at 10, right? Like Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, good players, but guys you should take in like the teens or the early 20s. Okay, if Seattle at 18 wants to come up and trade with you, you get 18 plus their second round pick or something like that. Yeah, sure, move back, get some extra capital, and go take a pass rusher at 18. So it kind of goes to the theme of what I've been saying with their draft options. I think they can be flexible. I will say this, though. If there is someone on their board that they view as a true blue chip level player at 10, they should probably just take them, because if you trade back in this draft, by the time you're picking, there's probably no blue chip players left. So if one of those guys is left, they should probably just stick and pick.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, if that is the Ashton Genty or the Warren, the tight end from Penn State, I'm all for it. I could be more open minded about the tight end, the running back. Mixed feelings about, and kind of staying on that topic of running back and offense. How do you feel about the Bears' current running back room? Interesting re-sign with Travis Homer. I know maybe it's more of a special teams keep spot there, and then Duvernay today, the kick returner. But how do you feel about the Bears' running back room and wide receiver room outside of DJ Moore and Rome Odunze? Because as someone I'm keeping an eye out for, and maybe he will be the beneficiary of the Ben Johnson effect, is someone like Tyler Scott. Is this his last opportunity to kind of shine and prove himself? Or they brought in Zacchaeus, they're bringing in some other competition. How do you feel about Tyler Scott and the opportunity for him to play in Ben Johnson's offense?
Yeah, we can start there, then I'll shift back to the running backs. I kind of feel like they're putting Scott on notice a little bit, because they brought in McCole Hardman and Rondale Moore for visits. Both have signed elsewhere, by the way. Hardman went to the Packers yesterday, and Rondale signed with the Vikings about 2 hours ago. Obviously, the Bears signed Duvernay, so who also fits in that mold, returner, speed guy. To me, that's similar skill set to Tyler Scott. So is that a message to Scott, like you're going to have to earn your playing time? Do they view him and Duvernay as completely separate skill set entities? That seems somewhat unlikely, because I do think there's overlap there. I've always liked Tyler Scott. I don't know what happened last year. They clearly didn't value him. I don't know if he just wasn't a Shane Waldron guy. I'm not sure. But, I remember from his rookie year, he dropped some passes. So, maybe there's something there they don't love. I definitely think he'll have to earn a spot. But I also think there will be opportunities, because they're not going to go with a high-level wide receiver 3, it would appear, because – last year, they had the trio, right, of Rome, DJ, and Keenan. Keenan's not coming back. That's obvious at this point. Zacchaeus right now would be the favorite to be your 3, because 3 out of the last 4 years he's had over 400 yards, so there's been some production there. Last year, he probably had the best year of his career, so I like that move. But I think it'll be kind of a wide receiver 3 by committee / competition. So if you're Tyler Scott, you should be viewing this as an opportunity, but at the same time, you should be on your P's and Q's, because I don't think the Bears are viewing Tyler Scott as some player they have to have. Like, if he has a bad offseason, like, they'll probably just cut him. Like, he probably won't make the team. So as far as the whole room goes, I would guess they still draft somebody. Maybe it's on day 3. I think they need a big body guy as a backup, someone to back up Rome, because I think Rome will be the true X receiver this year. They don't really have a big body backup. So, someone on day 3 that can come in, be a blocker, be a backup X, add to that kind of wide receiver 3 and beyond kind of competition there. And as far as the running back group goes, I don't think it's that good of a group, to be honest. I'm not as harsh on Swift as others are, but he's not a 3-down back. I think in a 1-2 punch with one of these guys in the draft, he can have a good role, though. I think they can use him more as a pass catcher, get him out in space. We saw some of the biggest explosive plays the offense hit last year were him on kind of those perimeter runs. He had the one that broke the game open against Washington to get them going. He had one against Green Bay where he put Xavier McKinney on skates the first time they played. So out in open space, he's a good player, but he's got below average vision between the tackles. And he's not just, he's not a thumper type. Like in short yardage, you don't want him. And I think Roschon Johnson in 3rd and 4th and short situations, he has value, but I don't think he's a true guy in a 1-2 punch at this point in his career that you're like, yeah, we'll give him 10, 15 touches a game. I think he's your 3rd back, right? So I do think they'll draft somebody. Doesn't have to be Ashton Genty. It could be a Caleb Johnson or a Marion Hampton. He could be a trade down guy, by the way, because I do think he goes in the 1st round. Quinshon Judkins is a guy I really like out of Ohio State. I think his skill set would mesh well with Swift. So while I don't love the room right now, you're one good draft pick away from me really liking it, because I think Swift as a second guy with his kind of speed skill set, with a guy who can be more of a 3-down in between the tackles player who's also explosive, I think that's a really good role for him. So if they draft and hit on somebody, all of a sudden this running back room goes from maybe a bottom 10 group in the NFL to a top 10 unit. So they just got to get that pick right. But I do want to emphasize they need to draft a running back. I don't love how the room sits right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think our running back room is one of our low-key weaker groups on this team right now, especially after free agency where we strengthened the trenches. Roschon Johnson, he just always hurt. I mean, I'm always rooting for him. I always, like to see him come in on the goal line.
He's had 2 concussions now, too. That's a concern for a running back.
For sure. I mean, Brisker is a whole nother topic also.
They need a safety, too. Yeah.
I don't know. Did they re-sign Byard?
He's still, he's on the last year of his deal, but you've got him on an expiring deal, and Brisker, I love as a player, but I think you have to have insurance there. Unless they just love Elijah Hicks, who played okay last year, but to me, he's a special teamer that in a pinch can play, but I think they need a better 3rd option there because, I mean, at best, one of those guys is back next year. I mean, there's a chance it's a whole new pairing next year with Byard at his age, and if Brisker gets hurt again, he's probably not back. So I think you got to add somebody.
Yeah, I'd love to see Byard, have another solid season. I think he was probably one of the highlight points on that defense last year. Him and TJ Edwards are always putting their heart on the field every play.
Yeah, they're good vets for sure.
But yeah, that running back room, and like you mentioned, some of the most explosive offensive plays was Swift. I think behind a better offensive line. I'm not the biggest Swift critic, but just kind of knowing that Ben Johnson didn't keep him when he was over in Detroit, and maybe doesn't.
He's been speaking highly of the. I think he'll be a part of this offense. I think the way Ben's talked about him, it sounds like he's going to be here. I think they like the idea of him in a 2-man committee. I just don't think. I think it's clear that they want another guy. I don't think it's like get rid of Swift. I think it's like let's bring someone in here and let's maximize Swift's value in a complementary role, just not as a primary back.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And how do you feel before we'll end it up here? We do some Bears trivia. I got like 3 Bears trivia questions for you. It's one of our little staples for our guests of the week. Put them on the spot. I know we talked briefly a little bit about it, but how do you feel about Braxton Jones? Do you have any thoughts, concerns about him? Like, I feel like it's a position that we should really try to focus on next on the offensive line, but some people want to give him another shot. Maybe he'll be the beneficiary of a good guard next to him. Maybe that was part of the problem.
Yeah, I think the good news with Braxton is he's serviceable. Like, he's not a bad player. Like, that's probably one of the better Poles draft picks, to be honest. I mean, a 5th-round pick out of Southern Utah who's been an average to above average left tackle, like that's a good find. Now, as far as moving forward long term, if you were asking me right now, is he your left tackle after this season? I'd probably bet against it. But I think if he's your left tackle this year, assuming he's healthy, that's a big part of this. He had a leg injury and had a surgery, so he's probably going to miss a lot of the offseason program. But let's say he gets back and healthy. I'm okay with him being your left tackle this year, and here's why. The last couple of years, he's been asked to be like your second best offensive lineman. Now he's probably your fifth. If he's your worst starter or even fourth starter, that's much better. And he's got a 4-time All-Pro playing next to him now. So I think you can get by with Braxton this year. Now, Ryan Poles has already said they want to bring in competition. So whether that's drafting Will Campbell or Armand Mimbu out of Mizzou, I don't know if they view him as a potential left tackle. If they do, I think he's a good player. He's played primarily on the right side, so that would be kind of a projection on their part to see if he could flip. If it's someone in the second round, there's the Connerly kid out of Oregon. Does he fall to 39? If he does, I think that'd be a home run pick. I like this kid out of Minnesota. His name's Ariante Ursary. He's 6'6", 330 and moves pretty well. Has some technique refining that's needed, but he's got all the tools to be an NFL left tackle. You could take him in the second round. So I think there's avenues to getting competition there. And even if they don't start this year, maybe they take over next year. I also have no idea how Ben Johnson views Karan Amagaji. Is he still a factor in this? Because if we're being realistic, as ugly as it got last year, he was never supposed to play as a rookie. He was coming off a injured season at Yale. Like, for him to get healthy and start as a rookie at all was really never something that should have happened. So I think if you wipe the slate clean there, new head coach, new vision, Dan Rochard, an experienced offensive line coach, I'm not ready to just count that as a loss. Obviously, right now you'd say, well, anything he gives you is a bonus. But I will say, I don't think that's the competition that Poles is talking about. I got to think somebody else enters the fray, whether it's a vet or a draft pick. But I would agree with you in the sense that it's probably not Braxton long term, but if he can give you a mostly healthy season this year, I think for 2025, you can live with him at left tackle.
All right. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, keeping him for one more year and see how it goes, especially with some better players on right next to him and Joe Tooney for sure. But yeah, so did you look at did you see who the Bears are playing next year? Does it look too premature to maybe do some predictions based on?
I mean, I know their schedule. They've got the AFC North is the crossover division, and then is it the NFC East?
I believe.
I think it is.
I know they.
I think it is the NFC. Yeah, Dallas too. So yeah, it would be the NFC. So yeah, the only game I can't remember off the top of my head is the one random AFC crossover game that they do now, since it's a 17-game schedule. AFC North is tough, though. I mean, that's not going to be easy. NFC East is a lot more difficult now with Washington being a contender. So, yeah, I can see it there. So, who's the other AFC team? I guess it would be the Raiders. So, the Raiders is the random crossover game.
In the 49ers, right?
Well, you play every – so the Bears finished last in their division. You play every other NFC last place team. So, that's where San Francisco, the Saints, and then the Giants are the other one, but they also just play the whole NFC East.
Are you in Illinois?
No, so Chat Sports is based in Dallas, Texas. That's where our headquarters are at. But I came up in the fall during the Bears. This is pretty funny. I came up in the fall, met some of our subscribers and stuff, and did a little trip out of it. It was after the London game, and then I came back, and they lost 10 games in a row, starting with the Commanders Hail Mary game. So that was tough sledding. But I need to trying to get back to Chicago this summer, hopefully. So,
are you originally from?
What about you? No, I'm not. Are you originally from Illinois?
No, I was born and raised in Syracuse, New York, but my father is originally from west side of Chicago. So that's how I got the Bears in the blood.
Gotcha. What's the what's this? Hit me with some trivia. I'm curious to see if I can hang.
So Chicago Bears trivia. I got 3 or 4 questions.
Okay.
Full transparency. We clip this. We put it up. Our community is a little bit harsh if you don't get it right. So we'll start with a little.
Well, depending how far back it goes, we
no,
could
it's
whiff
not
here,
like
so.
1920 trivia. It's some
Sid Luckman.
Well, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 31.
Oh yeah, so we're the same age. Yeah, this is like well within the wheelhouse. I mean, there's some older like 80s stuff, obviously, with the Super Bowl team. But all right, let's see here. I got a few questions. Let's see if you can get. Here we go. We'll start with this one. Which Bears player rushed for the most yards in a Super Bowl? I'll give you the multiple choice. It is a multiple choice question.
Oh gosh,
I'll read it slow. A. Cedric Benson. B. Thomas Jones. C. Walter Payton. Or D. Matt Suey.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. I want to say whoever in the 06 Super Bowl ran for a lot of yards for some reason. Like Walter's the obvious answer, but like it's almost too obvious. I'll go Walter Payton. I'm guessing that's wrong, but I'll go with Walter Payton.
Walter Payton, final answer?
Yeah.
No, it is Thomas Jones.
I thought it was in the 06. He ran for like 100 yards, didn't he?
Yeah, Thomas Jones rushed for 112 yards on 15 carries with a long of 52 yards in that Super Bowl.
He carried them because Grossman was horrendous.
Yeah, Grossman. So. And then, well, I think that must have been all in the first half because then Thomas Jones gets hurt in that game. I believe he got hurt in that game.
Yeah, I think he got dinged up. Plus, they got behind, so they started to throw the ball more. But yeah, all right, that's good. What a Peyton! Do you have Peyton's numbers from the 85?
It said Walter Payton was held to 61 yards on 22 attempts.
Okay, all right.
That was the infamous game. I think Mike Ditka had regrets of giving it to Refrigerator Perry and not instead of Walter.
No.
But
Doug Kramer style.
Speaking
he's
of,
back. Welcome back.
Did you see the tweet where it said? Oh, I was laughing when I saw it. They said the Bears re-signed OL/FB.
fullback. Ben Johnson has his fullback. He told the Pardon My Take boys that he likes fullbacks. So
well, you hear just don't give him the ball.
Just don't give him the ball. And he said he'd rip a testicle out. So there you go.
He was gonna give 2, but the Pardon My Take boys were generous and said, "Hey, we only need 1.
We'll just do 1. Lance Armstrong style, baby."
All right, here's another one for you. Who holds the franchise record for the longest touchdown run in Bears history? That's just a point blank. There's no multiple choice for that one. Sorry, Harrison.
Gosh. I'm not great at trivia in general.
I can repeat the question.
Longest run. No, longest touchdown run, right? Not just any run?
Yeah, longest
touchdown run. Do you have the number? You don't have to tell me the player, but how many yards?
99 yards.
Oh, a 99-yarder. Gosh, I should know this then. It's going to be some random. I was thinking like maybe Cohen had one, but he definitely didn't have a 99. I don't even know, man. I'm trying to think of just like some random like I don't know. Did Forte rip a 99-yarder? Probably not.
Good guess.
I'll guess Matt Forte.
Love me, Matt Forte, but no, you had the right thought process in the previous question. It's Walter Payton. It's just Walter Payton.
See, I thought that'd be too obvious, so I didn't even roll with that. All right.
And then I'll give you a draft question. Here's a draft. We got 2 more. 2 quick, easy ones. All
right, 2 more.
Not easy, I guess. But
probably not. I'll probably go for 4. It's all good.
Who was the Bears' first-round draft pick in the 2012 NFL Draft? We were just talking draft.
Gosh, 2012. I was talking the 2014 draft recently because that was the that's when they missed Aaron Donald by a pick. 2012. Golly. 2012. Kyle Fuller was 14. I'm trying to think when they traded for, what was it, 09 when they traded for Cutler? So I'm trying to think who they would have drafted.
No, 08 we had.
I think Cuddy was 09. Golly, 2012.
You're gonna laugh at this one if I tell you the answer when I forget.
I don't want to get. Is it a wide receiver?
I will give you a hint. No, it's not a wide receiver.
Okay, I was
Kevin White was. That's a little too. It's a little too.
No, not Kevin White. That wasn't going to be my guess. So you say I'm going to laugh, so it's got to be just like complete. It's got to just be a. Oh wait, was it Shea McClellan?
There you go, Shea McClellan.
Okay,
nice.
All right.
Nice pull.
That's probably a tougher one than the other two. So I feel pretty good about that one.
There you go.
All right, 1 for 3. Let's see if I bat 500.
All right, here you go. Who holds the franchise record for the most career sacks by a Chicago Bear?
Oh, this should be. I mean, it's what's his name? Who's he's got oh shoot, just lost an AirPod. It's one of two guys. It's either Mongo or Richard Dent. I'm pretty sure. Oh, you're giving me a look like it's neither.
I'm waiting for you to submit a final answer.
Gosh. I'll go Mongo. Steve McMichael.
Steve McMichael. Mongo was second.
Is Dent first?
Dent is first. That's why you had it.
Okay. I had the two guys.
The two guys. Good for.
How close is it? Do you have the numbers for both?
Richard Dent 124.5.
Okay.
Mongo 92.5.
Okay, so not super close, but top two. All right.
And then
God, Dent's sneaky. I mean, 124. That's if you hit 100 more often than not, you're in the Hall of Fame. So 124 is a good number.
I mean, I have one last one.
You can throw a fifth one at me. Why not?
I don't know why. In full transparency, our trivia section of Guest of the Week is sponsored by ChatGPT. Well, I do cross-reference it because sometimes the answers aren't even right. I'm like, what are you doing, AI? You're supposed to do the easiest job for me. Why there's a specific number, I have no idea, but it might be like the most. Who recorded 680 tackles in the first 4 seasons as a Chicago Bear? Multiple choice.
680. 680 or 684? What did you say?
680.
680. Okay. That is a random number.
We're going to scratch that one because I didn't copy and paste the answer. So
okay. I mean, that had to be like...
Well, I'll give you the multiple choice. The multiple choice was A, Dick Butkus, B, Brian Urlacher, C, Richard Dent, or D, Mike Singletary.
It's one of the linebacker. It was probably either Singletary or Urlacher if I had to guess, but
Urlacher.
I'm going to pull up. Yeah. Urlacher was my initial guess because 680, I mean, that's almost that's like 175 tackles a year. So
in the first 4 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about what he did.
Fernie in the TikTok chat says, tell Harrison I said I'm a big fan, and he said, what's up?
I appreciate that. Oh, I know Fernie.
Fernie.
I think I see him in my chat sometimes.
From the Chicago Bears fans in Cali. I met up with them when I went to the Arizona game and tailgated with them over there. So I have like a stadium bucket list with my father, and it's to watch a Bears game in every stadium. We got like 7 stadiums down. This past one, we went to the Arizona game after that Commanders game, and who would have thought that was going to be the?
Where are you going next year? Do you know, or this year? Do you know yet?
I'm trying to get this series sponsored if possible, so I would love to go to Vegas. I mean, I've never been to Vegas, and that's personal choice because I know I will probably won't come back alive in Vegas.
Maybe you should save that one then.
Yeah, well, if someone's gonna pay for it, that would probably be the one. Yeah, that's
true.
But since we are in Syracuse, New York, Cincinnati, it's not too far of a drive to go to. Philadelphia, my father.
Yeah, or like you got. Is Baltimore and Pittsburgh, are those in Chicago or are those on the road?
Those seem to be in Chicago.
Those in Chicago this
Yeah, I'm
year?
looking at it
I couldn't
now.
remember.
We've already
So
been
I
to a
guess
Commanders game. Commanders game we went to 2 years ago when it was DJ Moore had those 3 touchdowns and Justin Fields.
that was the day. That was the day Buckus died.
Yeah, it was. Yep, that was the day Buckus passed away because we're all tailgating and someone broke the news. And,
Yeah, I knew they were going to win when that happened.
Yep.
That was just like textbook. Like they were 0-4. They were desperate. Buckus died. That was probably one of Fields' better games, honestly.
Probably one of his best games of his career.
Threw 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
And Philly is just too sketchy for my pops. But we do if we were doing the bucket list, we got to get it done at some point.
Yeah.
But we were in Chicago for the Bengals game. It was the first game Fields played. Right after.
I remember that was when they picked off Burrow like 3 passes in a row, I believe.
Yeah. Yep. That's when Andy Dalton got hurt. I don't think he actually
sprained his knee or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate your time. It was plenty of fun talking Bears with you, Harrison. Greatly appreciate your time. We'll be clipping this all throughout the week, so
cool.
Be tagging you and pushing all these clips out after I re-listen to it and get the hot topic stuff. So you know how it goes. Anything that you got going on your channels that you want us to plug upcoming here?
No, if you guys want to check me out, Bears Now by Chat Sports, YouTube, find me over there. I'm at HGramNFL on Twitter and Instagram, so feel free to reach out, interact. I think you'll get the next few weeks, you'll get some small signings like we've seen, the Devin Duvernays of the world, but I think the draft stuff will really ramp up here. So excited for that. And then it's kind of like, all right, let's get to training camp because it slows down. But we're full speed ahead, and we'll looking forward to it, and definitely hop back on sometime if you want me to do so. So this is a good time.
We usually bring in, and we try and do this guest of the week. It's just a matter of the people that we're DMing and when they check their DMs. So.
I'm pretty hit and miss with DMs, so hopefully I got back to you in time.
No,
but
you're perfect. It was relatively
fun.
quick, so I appreciate you getting back. And throughout the season, we'd love to have you back on. If not before that, we usually just talk about the upcoming matchup, if they're playing the Packers or whatnot. So we'll definitely keep in touch. We'll tag you. We've been tagging you and everything. And when we post out these clips, and primarily on the Instagram, the YouTubes, and the TikTok. So
cool.
We'll go from there. Appreciate your time. Go Bears. And hopefully this free agency championship continues in the draft. And
off-season champs, baby.
Yeah,
hang the banner.
Back to back. So, and hopefully it comes to fruition on the field. So we'll definitely be in touch. Greatly appreciate your time, and go Bears.
All right, man. Bear down. See you guys.
Have a good rest of your night. Have a good week.